Okay, good morning everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Chris and I'm one of the Shortcuts educators. So this morning in our masterclass, we're going to be going through something a little bit different for everyone today. We're going to be going through like a new starter and a refresher. Now, the reason we've been running this, we've had quite a few requests coming in. We totally understand if you've got a new staff member, we want you to ensure they're getting the most out of the system. So this morning we're going to be running through our new starter and our refresher. So we're really just going to cover the basics, okay? We'll try and go into as much detail as possible, but we really just want to concentrate on the basics today of, our appointment diary and everything like that. So if this is your first time joining us for one of our masterclasses, thank you ever so much for joining us. Basically, what we tend to do is we have a very brief PowerPoint presentation at the beginning, and then we move into a live demonstration. The PowerPoint really just sort of introduces you to everything we're going to be going through. For this particular masterclass, it's really all going to be a live demonstration. There's not really anything we're going to go through in a PowerPoint. We just want to jump straight into Shortcuts Fusion and get you using it. This morning's masterclass will be a little over an hour, I would imagine, but it is being recorded as well, which will be posted onto YouTube later on, and I will ask our marketing department to send that out for you as well. Okay, so with regards to a new starter, so we would always say, please ensure the new staff member has already been created, so they're on your system, assigned a level such as senior stylist, graduate stylist, and so forth, and has been allocated the correct security role and PIN before they use shortcuts. That's usually done in a configuration, usually done by our managers and our directors. So we're not going to be covering that today. If anyone does have a few questions, we can touch on it, but it's not something we're going to particularly cover today. Today's lesson will show you how to use shortcuts on a day-to-day basis and have you successfully booking in clients in no time. So that's really what we're going to cover for this morning. So in this session, we will be covering the overview of the appointment book and creating appointments in a day-to-day running. Like I said, we're going to strip it right back. We're going to go right back to the basics. We're going to be looking at client data and client cards and how these can be managed. We're going to be looking at the Shortcuts POS system, that's the Shortcuts point of sale system, adding new services and products to a sale line, and taking a client's bill. Okay, so like we said, we're going to really concentrate on being thorough with our basics this morning. And employee performance and how they can track on a day-to-day. Because I understand a lot of the times we have our front of house staff members on our new starter masterclasses, but of course we may have a new stylist or a new therapist with us this morning. Okay, so if you do want to contact us further, please feel free to email me at education@shortcuts.co.uk. Just put for the attention of Chris. That's education@shortcuts.co.uk. Or you can speak to one of our friendly staff members on 0161 972 4900. And that is really it, ladies and gents. So from this morning, we're going to jump straight in to our live demonstration. So for this, I'm going to open up my Shortcuts Fusion system. Okay, so I've got my Shortcuts Fusion system here, and we're going to strip it right back. Let's take a look at our appointment diary as we see it here. So in the top left-hand corner, the first thing you'll notice is we have ourselves a calendar. Okay, so we can see it's currently the Wednesday, the 8th of March. So we're going to click onto the calendar in the top left. This will allow us to choose a specific month from the drop-down arrow and a specific year to the right-hand side. And you'll notice we can go quite far into the future, so roughly around 20 years. Then underneath, we can choose a specific day of the week. You'll notice today's day is highlighted with a green splodge over the top here, so we can identify today's date. Now, as you notice the months, you'll note we have like a dark grey section just here, which I'll outline with my mouse. We have a dark grey section and almost like a black section. And as we continue to click and drag down, you'll notice it goes dark, light, dark, light. Now what that does, that is the visual indicator. We love them at Shortcuts. We believe in our visual indicators. These visual indicators are a way to show when one month ends and a new month begins. Okay, so just a quick visual indicator to see that there. We can see where one month ends and the next month begins. It's a way to be super duper accurate. And from here, we can just choose a specific day, and it will take us directly there. Along the top, you will notice we have our staff member columns and the relevant profile avatar. As we move over to the right hand side, you'll notice we have our navigation bar. Now 99% of the time you will find shortcuts will default to the appointment diary, but on our navigation bar on the far right hand side where we have all of our icons, you will notice at the top under main there is the appointments icon, and that will allow us to jump straight to our appointment diary. As we work down the bottom, you'll notice we have quite a few icons. At the very center bottom, we have a Today button. This will allow us to skip directly back to Today. So think of this as quite simply like flicking through the pages of a book. So if I click onto Today, it will take us directly back to Today. I can also use the Day Forward button. Just using the left-hand side of my mouse, I can click onto the Day button, and this will skip forward one day at a time. And at any point, I can use the Day Backward button to jump back one day at a time. Now, what about if a client was to come in a week's time? You'll also notice we have a week icon facing forwards just here. Again, I can click onto this using the left-hand side of my mouse, and this will jump forward 1 week at a time. So nice and simple to navigate our way through. But what about if a client says, okay, Chris, I want to come in 2 weeks' time or 4 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time? Yes, of course, we could just click the week button 6 times, but we're looking to save time. So what I can do using the right-hand side of my mouse, I can right-click and go 2, 4, or 6 weeks. Now, if you're using a touchscreen monitor and you're not using a mouse and you're just purely using the touchscreen, what we can do to replicate a right-click command, we can hold our finger down on the screen. A square will appear once we've held our finger down, and then that will show us our right-click options, okay? So I'm not using a touchscreen monitor on my PC here, but if you want to try this yourself, if you are using a touchscreen monitor, just hold your finger down, a small square will appear, and then that will replicate your right-click options. So there's a way to jump 2, 4, or 6 weeks forward. Now, as we move to the left-hand side of the screen, you'll notice we've got our appointment intervals, and they currently run in 15-minute increments. This basically means my appointment diary runs in 15-minute slots. So, for instance, this will be 9, 9:15, 9:30, 9:45, and so forward. Okay, that is usually governed by the increments of our services. Now, as we look at our columns, you will notice, again, if we just look here, we've got a slightly darker section just at the top here, and then we've got a slightly lighter section just here. And it's almost divided by this invisible line just here. This is a way to see the past time and the future time. So we've got this almost this invisible line. Excellent stuff. Now, you may look at this diary and think, well, we're only looking at a small portion of the day. So you'll notice we're roughly looking at around 8:45 to around 2:30. But what about if we're open till like 6 or 7 o'clock at night? How do we look at the entire day? So in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll notice we have a menu icon. So if I click onto menu, you'll notice the very top option is what we call view mode. So if I click onto view mode, I can change it to show quarter of the day, half of the day, 3/4, all day. And you'll notice that will now show me all of the day. And you can change this as many times as you need to. Now you'll also notice, again, with the same sort of view mode, you'll notice I've got 2 of my staff members working today, but you'll notice James isn't working today. It's his day off. So essentially, do we need this particular staff member to be visible? Okay, so what we can do, if you've got multiple staff members on your screen and you've got quite a few of them with a day off in between different other stylists and therapists, and you're thinking, I don't want to accidentally make an appointment in James's column. What we can do is we can filter the diary down, okay, and this all adjusts our essential view mode. So what you'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner is we have what we call a funnel, and the technical term for this is a filter, okay? So if we click onto the filter in the bottom left-hand corner, we can click onto this, and this is a way to filter our appointment diary down. Now you'll notice the top one and the most commonly used one is rostered on. Rostered on essentially means this staff member is rostered or scheduled to work. So if I filter it to only show staff members that are rostered on, you'll notice James will disappear because he is no longer rostered to work. And there's a way to just filter your appointment diary down. And we can unfilter and it will bring James back. We could also do as well for our new staff members. In the system, we have something called capabilities. Now, capabilities is us essentially telling the system who is capable of doing what service. So if you're watching this as a new front of house member or just as a new staff member, and you're thinking, I don't quite know what my staff are capable of doing. I don't know which staff member is capable of doing nails, which staff member is capable of doing cuts and colours. And we don't want to accidentally make an appointment with the wrong staff member. We can filter via capabilities. So you'll notice the third option down is capabilities. And this will allow you to filter via a specific capability. So for instance, we might only want to look at staff members that can do hair. So we can click onto hair and it will only show the staff members that can do hair. So you'll notice Matt disappears. Matt is my therapist. So when I filter via hair, it removes Matt, my therapist. And it's a great way to ensure we're being super accurate when we're making those appointments. Now this, of course, will only work if your capabilities set up in configuration are 100% accurate. But it's a great way if you're not quite sure which of your staff members do which services. So have a play around with the filter, see what works best for you. But I love the filter. I think it's a great way to be that little bit accurate. Okay, so we've sort of worked our way around, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm now going to look at making an appointment. Okay, that's the whole sort of point of this. We want everyone to be confident making an appointment. So you'll notice on the left-hand side, I've got the times. So if I wanted to make an appointment for Sarah, it's nice and easy because I've got the times on the left-hand side. But you might be thinking, what about if I want to make an appointment in James's column or Matt's column or someone further to the right-hand side? Now again, using the left-hand side of my mouse, you'll notice as I click and drag on the screen, so I've got my left-hand side of the mouse pressed down, or if you're using touchscreen, you can place your finger on the screen. You'll notice as I click and drag, each cell, each sort of time slot highlights. So we can see that just there in Matt's column. And you'll notice to the far left-hand side of my screen, it highlights in green. Okay, it's a great way to be super accurate. So you'll notice as I move my mouse around in anybody's column, doesn't matter whose column I'm working in, each cell highlights in like a slightly lighter color, and the far left-hand time slots also illuminate in green, just so I can be super accurate. Now, what's going to happen a lot of the times here, ladies and gents, is we're going to let go of the mouse and we're going to move our finger, and suddenly this screen is going to appear. Now, if this is your first time doing this, you're going to be a bit like, ooh, you know, what have I done? What do I do? Don't worry, just simply click cancel down the center bottom. And again, let's go back to what we were doing. If I'm clicking and dragging and I want the screen to stay exactly where I was, you'll notice if I move my mouse to the bottom right-hand corner to this black section here that I'm circling now with my mouse, this is essentially what I call my safe area. It's nothing technical. It's really just a way for me to pop my mouse. After moving it around on the screen, I pop it in my safe area, and you'll notice the screen stays exactly where we were. So it's a great way if you just want to get confident using the mouse or finding the appointment times and then just dropping the mouse down here and nothing else happening. Okay, so let's make an appointment. I'm going to make an appointment in Sarah's column and I want to make it at 1 p.m. So again, I'm going to click and drag using the left side of my mouse. I'm in Sarah's column. We can see this just here. And I've got 1 p.m. to the left-hand side. I'm going to release my mouse or simply click into the time slot. And this will open up my client list, okay? Think of this as essentially like a mobile phone book, okay? This is where my client list will appear. Now, if we're using existing clients, these are clients already in your database. If we're using existing clients, you can search in the top left-hand corner by phone or email, or you can filter. Again, we've already looked at filters. So you'll notice we can search by phone, we can search by email, or we can search by last name. But if you don't want to search by last name, there's a filter just to the right-hand side here. And you can then filter first name to last name. But regardless of how you've got that filter set this morning, ladies and gents, you can still search by phone, you can still search by email. It's only the first or last name that is changed. Okay, so you can still pop the phone number in, you can still pop the email address in, or you can just filter last name to first name. Okay, all you then need to do is pop in 3 characters of the client's name, and that client will appear. But first and foremost, let's take a look at adding in a brand new client. So they're existing clients, but we want to first and foremost add a brand new client in. So on the same screen, you'll notice at the top, we've got this green icon, and you'll notice it's conveniently the only icon towards the top that is highlighted. So I'm going to click onto new client, and you'll notice the client card has appeared. Now, everybody's client card will be slightly different depending on your configuration settings, but you will notice a lot of it does look similar. So we've got first and last name. Anything with an asterisk to the right-hand side is mandatory, and you will probably find on your setup, it is mandatory to take at least 1 contact number, typically the mobile phone. So we're going to pop that first name in, and we're going to pop that last name in. And you will find we do need to pop a contact number in. So we're just going to pop that in there. Now, at this stage, we tend to say take as much information as the client is comfortable giving us, okay? This will all help with marketing down the line. We often recommend taking a referral method and an email address. Once we've taken the information, we're going to click the Done icon to the right-hand side. And you'll notice, here's my client. We can then go back to the client profile and the client history and print the CPC out. This is the client profile card. So from here, to continue making this appointment for this brand new client, we're going to click Next in the bottom right-hand corner. Then it will take us to our tags. Tags are visual indicators that give us a little bit more information about this client. Now, everybody will have slightly different tags. You can also create your new ones here. You can also create your own bespoke ones. But these are little visual indicators to give you a bit more information about that client. So you'll notice the standard ones are NC for new client. This will tag this client as a new client, so this stylist or therapist knows that this particular client is a new client. New request, that means they've never visited the salon before, but they specifically requested Sarah. They must have heard good things on the grapevine or through social media. No-show is if you often feel that this client is a no-show client. R for request client. SC for salon client. Salon client basically means they always come to the salon, but they don't mind who they see. So I'm going to tag this as a new client. Then you'll notice we've got our service selection categories on the right-hand side. You can choose multiple services if applicable. Once we've chosen a category, it will open up the specific services to the right-hand side. If this was an existing client that had already visited us, you could see any last purchased. That's when they last had this particular service. Now you'll notice as I've made this appointment, I get an overview down the bottom, and it is always worth keeping an eye on this, so we can just backtrack and read this back to the client if applicable. So we can see this client is booked in for a blow dry. They have chosen the employee Sarah, and the price is going to be £26 with a start time of 1 p.m. Now, if you've made any mistakes at this stage, you can change your service here, or you can change the employee here. And you can also delete this service here as well. But if you're happy with this, all we do is we click Done down the bottom right-hand corner. And you'll notice the appointment has been created. But let's make another appointment for an existing client. And this time, I'm going to make it in Matt's column. In the top left-hand corner, I'm going to search for an existing client. And as I click onto this existing client, we get an overview in the center. This is what we call the client dashboard. So we can see how many visits they've had, how many no-shows, and how many cancellations. Some further information regarding this client, just in case they've had quite a few no-shows or quite a few cancellations, and there is a cancellation or deposit policy in place that we need to take at this stage. On the right, you can also see any future appointments. This is just in case the client says to us, I want to book in, and just as you're making the appointment, you happen to notice that they're already booked in a week's time, and they may have made this in the future, or, they may have made this online or something like that. So you get to see any future appointments. You can also see any past appointments. So this particular client is already booked in, and you can see any outstanding client series. So again, we're just going to click, and we're going to click next. Again, we can tag, but this is a salon client this time. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to choose a specific service, okay? Now, I've chosen Matt, who, if you may remember, I said at the beginning, was actually my therapist. So you'll notice I'm now going to choose a ladies cut and finish. Now, when I click onto cut and finish, you'll notice straight away this screen has appeared, and it is always a good idea to take heed of this. So it tells us Matt is not capable of performing this service. So it tells us straight away Matt is my therapist and is not capable of doing this particular service. Okay, so we can see this cross here. He is not capable of doing the service. So all we need to look out for are these green ticks. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on making this appointment. Now, the reason we are allowed to carry on making this appointment, a client couldn't do it online. We can only do it. We have full control of the system. I'm going to continue making this appointment because maybe Matt is training on this particular client, or maybe Matt will do this one particular client but won't do anybody else because he doesn't feel confident yet until he has passed his qualifications. So I am going to choose Matt. But again, you'll notice we get this sort of orange beigey color appear here, okay? Now this again is a visual indicator just to let us know that something has gone wrong essentially with this appointment. So as we saw just a few steps back, Matt is not capable of performing this particular service. So again, it's another visual indicator to just let us know that Matt should not be doing this service. But us taking full control of the system, it will allow us to book it in. But again, just to reiterate, clients booking online will not be able to do this. So I'm going to continue with the appointment. And you'll notice straight away, the appointment has turned this beigey orange color. Again, another visual indicator to let us know as appointment operators that something has gone wrong. Okay, we have made a mistake. So you'll notice we've got a couple of different colors on the appointments. We've got a dark green and we've got this orange beigey color. Now moving forward, I'm hopeful and confident that everyone will soon remember what these colors mean. But if this is the first time doing this and you're not quite sure, and maybe you've forgotten already, it's no problem. We need to know what the colors of our appointment diary mean. So in the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to go back to our menu icon where we were about 10 minutes ago. We're going to click on menu in the bottom right-hand corner, and you'll notice there's an option at the very bottom that says color legend. We're going to click onto color legend. There's our normal appointment there. But as we scroll down third from the bottom, we've got a clash. This orangey beigey color tells us it's a clash. Now that's the technical name. We call it a clash, but we will know this as an error or a mistake. Okay, so you'll notice we've got the clash there. So this essentially means that I've made the appointment with somebody that wasn't capable or isn't available of doing the service. Now you'll also notice we couldn't book it in with James either. Okay, so let's just reiterate. We've looked at our appointment diary. We've made 2 appointments, one for a brand new client on the left-hand side here, and one for an existing client on the right-hand side here. So we've got quite a few appointments in the system. But what about if we've got, a client that says to us, have you got an appointment tomorrow? Have you got an appointment a day after? Everything like that. And you're a little bit unsure, you might miss a time slot. Well, I'm going to introduce something a little bit more advanced this morning, ladies and gents. You'll notice in the bottom right-hand corner, we have something called an appointment assistant. And this is visualized by a magic wand, okay? Now, I would only recommend, ladies and gents, using this once you feel confident making an appointment the way I just did it. But if not, if you'd rather just using appointment assistant, as the name suggests, it is there to assist and help you. So we can click onto the magic wand, and this essentially is feeding all of the client information into the appointment diary to find an appointment slot. So in the top left-hand corner, we can choose a client, we can add in a new client, or we can choose an existing client if we need to. So I'm just going to choose my test client here. And then you'll notice at the top, you can basically just feed the information that the client is giving you. So we can say, when are we available from? So I'm going to say I'm available from today until tomorrow. So the client has told me they want an appointment today or tomorrow. And then you'll notice at the top, it gives me those days of the week. So it then shows me that's a Wednesday and a Thursday. Today and tomorrow is a Wednesday and a Thursday. And the client then says, I need an appointment either today or tomorrow between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. Okay, so we're feeding that information that the client is giving us. And then we choose the service. And they say they would like a gents cut and finish. So we select that and then we click done. And then all we do is we click search down the bottom of our screen here. And on the left-hand side, you'll notice it has given me all of those appointment slots. So rather than us has to manually work each one out and say, yes, we've got a 2, we've got a 2:15, we've got a 2:30, we are using the shortcut system to show us all of those available time slots. And it is also a great way, ladies and gents, if you think you've exhausted all appointments, but you just want to make sure, okay? We've all been there where a client is in front of us and we want to add that extra level of service, and we really want to be thorough in checking all available time slots. We do not want to miss one available time slot. So it's a great way to show all of the available time slots available to us. So you'll notice we've got one at 2:15, 2 o'clock, 2:30, 2:45, and so forth. So I'm going to choose my 2:30. Okay, we can see it is ready to be booked in. We can see all of the information here. I've been nice and accurate. And then all I do towards the bottom right-hand corner, I click my book icon. We can tag again as applicable. It will filter it straight away. As we checked out earlier, it will filter us to see this appointment has now been made, and we can remove the filter in the bottom left-hand corner. And the appointment has been made. Okay, so that's the 2 ways we can use our Shortcuts Fusion system to make appointments with us. So as we look at our appointments, you may notice there are 2 different shades of color. We've got like a light green and we've got like a dark green. Light green, dark green. And they're kind of divided by this backward C, or this half moon crescent that we can see just here. Now that lets us know some further options. So you may look at this particular client, and when they walk through the door, you may think to yourself, ooh, they've got lots of hair. Can I have extra time? So what we can do in the dark section in the bottom right-hand corner, using the left side of my mouse, I'm going to click and drag, and you'll notice I can make the appointment longer and shorter. Bottom right-hand corner, click and drag using the left side of my mouse. But what about if I need to move an appointment over to somebody else? Using the light green in the top left, I'm going to click and drag, and I can move the appointment around. Now, in particular, we know Matt isn't capable of doing cuts and finishes. So you'll notice when I go to move this particular appointment here for my client Jane, you'll notice Matt's column has appeared black. Again, that is a visual indicator to let me know that I should not be moving this appointment over to Matt because he is not capable. But again, if I do, you'll notice we get that visual indicator to explain that that is a clash, that is a mistake. So I would then essentially move that to somebody else. Okay, so we've looked at making an appointment, making it longer and shorter, and moving it around. But what about if we need to add any notes onto an appointment? Okay, so what we can do is we can add a couple of notes, and there's sort of 3 or 4 ways to do this. We can add notes to our employees, we can add notes to our clients and services. So the first thing when it comes to our notes is we're going to add a note to our employee. So you'll notice at the top of the screen, we've got our employee avatars at the top. And I'm going to select my employee avatar at the top of the screen. And you'll notice when I do this, a window appears. Now, depending on your configuration settings, you will see how many clients they have seen today, how many clients per hour, and the average service spend per hour. You can also see this particular stylist's level, their capabilities, and a biography if applicable. Now down the bottom here, this is where you would add a message. I'm just going to let this particular staff member, Sarah, know that they need to cash up. But also while we're here, you'll also notice we have 4 buttons down the bottom. We can view week. So if I click onto view week, this will show you this staff member's full working week. A great way to see their availability. Again, if a client is saying, what's Sarah's availability on Thursday or Friday or Saturday? And that is our view week. You can also filter the amount of weeks in the bottom left-hand corner. And you can also add multiple employees, just in case the client wishes to see Sarah for the colour and Matt for the nails. And again, if we go back to our employee avatar, click onto that, we can also change our PIN. Now, you may be watching this thinking, how do I change my PIN? I've been assigned a generic PIN by my manager or the owner. How do I change my PIN? We simply tap the employee avatar at the top and we can click change PIN. Now, again, depending on your security settings, you should only be able to change your PIN. You will not be able to change anybody else's. On the right-hand side, you can also click onto print. And you can print the appointment page plus your schedule, Sarah's appointment schedule, any outstanding contraindications, that's things such as skin tests, and you can also print the employee CPC. CPC standing for client profile cards. This will print out the clients you've got booked in for today and any history. The 2 we would often recommend are the employee CPC down the bottom here. And we often print this out via the receipt printer to save paper. And of course, it will come out smaller. This will show your clients booked in for today in your schedule and any appointment history notes. We're going to touch on appointment history notes in just a few minutes. And again, one last time at the top of the screen, you will also see your performance, okay? Now again, you can only see your performance depending on your security settings. Your performance will really give you an overview of what you have taken for the day, the week, or the month, okay? It's a great way to see your amount of services, how many clients rebooked, the number of retail products you've sold, the service spend, retail spend, sundry such as gift certificates, and the total added together. It's a great way to keep track of your column. Now, you may be targeted, you may be based on commission. So this is a great way to keep track of everything that you're doing for that particular month, okay? We always say keep track of it, take control of your column. So we should always be looking at our performance here. The top here are our service categories, so our service reporting categories. So it's a great way to see the majority of the services you're doing. So are we doing more ladies? Are we doing more men? Are we doing more colour? But a fantastic way to view our performance summary. But as we saw at the top, we added in a message. And you'll notice I now have a message here that says, please cash up. So if we ever see these memos or these post-it notes at the top, this is again a visual indicator to let us know that somebody has left us a message. So we've added a note onto our employee, but how do we add a note onto our service? And there's 2 ways we can do this. So as we look at our appointments that are booked in, we can use both the left or the right-hand side of our mouse to open up further appointment options, okay? So we can use the left side or we can use the right side of our mouse. The right-hand side of the mouse, just to let you know, will open up a few more appointment options, but let's take a look at that now. I'm going to right-click onto my appointment, just using the right-hand side of my mouse, and it will straight away bring up a lot of appointment options. So you can see I can check the client out, I can arrive the customer, I can no-show, and so forth. I've got quite a few appointment options there. That was using the right-hand side of my mouse, but again, I can also use my left-hand side of my mouse to navigate to that. Now you'll notice when I use the left-hand side of my mouse, the first thing it does is it opens up this window here. This window is what we call the touch tip menu. Essentially, it is at the tip of your fingertips, the tip of your touch, the touch tip menu. Now, the touch tip menu basically brings up quite a lot of client information. You'll notice we've got the client in the top left-hand corner, and we can also edit the client personal details just here. We can see how this booking was made, the service time, the service, and who the client is booked in with. We can also see an estimated cost. We can see that this has been booked, and we can also confirm this appointment as well. So this is an overview. This is the touch tip. So we get a lot of information here. But in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll also notice we have an ellipsis, these 3 dots just here. These 3 dots will allow us to open up our further appointment options, such as we did with our right click. So again, if I click onto this, it will bring up a lot of those right click commands, a lot of those right click options. Now, some of you may be familiar with this if you've ever used our cloud-based appointment diary. You'll notice this mimics that to a T. So again, to bring up my appointment options, I can right click, or I can left click to open my touch tip and use the 3 dots to bring up the majority of my appointment options. So what I'm going to look at doing now is adding in a note, okay? This is only a temporary note for this particular appointment. It will not stay on the client's profile. It will only stay on this particular appointment. So you'll notice I've got notes just here, second from the bottom. And I'm going to say the client is running late, okay? So I wouldn't recommend adding in color notes or anything too specific like that. It's only a note specific for this particular appointment. Okay, so we said client is running late, and we're going to click done. And you'll now notice in the top right-hand corner, we have a little memo post-it note. And again, we can click onto that, open up our touch tip menu, and you'll notice down the bottom, we have our appointment notes that says client is running late. But that is a temporary note. It will only stay on that appointment. So what about if we needed to add something a little bit more permanent? Okay, so this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to double left click on the appointment. And this will expand the appointment just here. And down the bottom, you'll notice we have an icon that says profile. This will bring up the client's profile card so we can edit their name, their phone number, and any other personal information in the fields visible to us. You'll notice in the bottom left-hand corner, we have a message box. This is typically used if the client has recently got married, had a baby, or had a dog or a cat or something like that. Again, there's only a small amount of characters that can be used here, and I wouldn't recommend adding in any color notes or anything like that for this particular aspect here. You'll also notice we've got a refreshment box. So if this client has a particular favorite refreshment, such as champagne or tea with no milk or coffee with no milk, we can add that refreshment in there. Again, it's a great way to add that extra level of service. So perhaps what we could do, we could add our refreshment in there. And then every time we see the client walk through the door, we can say, yes, Mrs. Jacobs, hope you're well today. Was it tea? No milk, if I remember correctly. It's a great way to add that extra level of service. But we've said we want to add in a permanent note, okay? So we've added those temporary notes in, but what about if we want to add in a much more permanent note, something we need to be made aware of every single time this client makes an appointment? It could be something they have an allergy. It could be they have lots of hair or very short hair, something we need to be made aware of every single time this client makes an appointment. So you'll notice to the bottom left-hand corner, we have this red alert, okay? Looks a bit like a stop sign, it's really letting us know we have an alert in the bottom left-hand corner. You will notice it is all date specific, just in case something particular happened on this particular day. Maybe the client wasn't feeling very well. So we can put the alert message in there. And again, we wouldn't typically add in our color notes here. We are going to get to that in just a sec. Okay, allergy to latex and very short hair. So again, we're going to click done, and we're going to save this, and we're going to click done and done to navigate away. Now again, you'll notice we've got that yellow post-it note. That is our temporary note for this particular appointment. But to the right of this, you'll notice we've got an exclamation mark, and that is the alert we simply just added. And again, if we click onto that, you'll notice at the top, we've got our alert here, allergy to latex, very short hair. Now, of course, we can now use that information and potentially make this appointment a little bit shorter using the skills that we've already learned. But of course, you might be thinking, well, it's all well and good, Chris, but Karen was already booked in Is there a way to see that alert before we make the appointment? Because of course we may need extra time. Well, yes, there is a way to see this. So again, I'm going to make another appointment. Now you'll notice as I search for Karen, you'll see straight away right on the client dashboard here, allergy to latex, very short hair. You'll also notice in the top right, there is that same alert icon just up here. But you'll see straight away here, allergy to latex, very short hair. So at this stage, we would know straight away not to use latex-based gloves if this client was having a colour, or of course, if we're booking in for a blow dry or a cut and blow dry or any kind of hair service, we would know we may not need the full 45 or the full 60 minutes. And then once we've made that appointment, we can then use the skills we've already learned for this morning, again, to make the appointment longer or shorter. So we've added a temporary note to our stylist, we've added a temporary note to our client, we've added a more permanent note, but we haven't looked at adding colour notes in yet, okay? So exactly the same way, I'm going to double click to expand that appointment, and right down the bottom, you'll notice we've got a history icon, and we've also got a profile icon where we just were. Now within that profile icon, you will also notice there is the same history icon. The history is all of the previous service or retail history of this client. Just to let you know, the history and profile icon will also appear when we check the client out, which you'll see in just a sec. That is because some stylists like to add their color notes, their visit notes, when they check the client out at reception. But whichever way you prefer to do it, ladies and gents, it is all done under the history icon. If there's any previous service history or retail history, we will see this here. To add in visit notes, you would select the most recent service, and we would click New down the center bottom. And we can add in these visit notes. So I've got 713 and 20 volt Dialight. Of course, other colors and brands are available. So we're now going to click Done once we've added in that color visit note. And you can see we've got that there. We can also print this out if applicable to save us writing it down or anything like that. To be nice and accurate, we can print it out. What we can also do, you might have lots of color notes. This client may have been visiting us for several years, and we change the color sort of every 6 months. Now, not just color, ladies and gents, we can also do this for nail varnishes, clipper grades, you know, whether they had it tapered around the back, whether they have it feathered on top, using a cut throat, anything like that. We can put any information in there, any service history in there. So it doesn't just have to be color. We can say we use clipper 1, blended, scissor over comb, anything like that. Anything you feel is applicable to the service, we can put that in there. And of course, we may get that client that has been visiting us for several months and years say to us, do you know what? I love what you did 6 months ago. I love the color that you did 6 months ago. I love the blending that you did 6 months ago. Or I think I may have had a hot towel shave 6 months ago. Can you just check? And as long as we've added in those visit notes, we'll be able to filter it. So again, in the bottom left, we can tick only dates with visit notes. And that will show only the dates with visit notes. Or of course, we may get the client say to us, I loved the barber I had last time, or I love the hairdresser I had last time. And then you can also filter via employee, or you can filter via service. Also, they may say to you, I love the color that you did on my hair around 6 months ago. And you're thinking, oh, blimey, I have no idea the color I did on your hair 6 months ago. We can also add in a date range as well. It's a way to filter, again, as we looked at earlier, it's a way to filter those visit notes down and to be super accurate. So we've added in some notes, we've added in some alerts, we've added in some client history. But what about if we need to reschedule? Okay, so we're going to go back to our appointment options. And again, we can right click to bring up our appointment options, or we can left click, use the 3 dots in the touch tip window to bring up our appointment options. So I'm going to reschedule an appointment. I'm going to right click and I'm going to click on to reschedule. Now, you could, of course, delete the client out. That would technically work, but it's not as accurate as what you're about to see. So I'm going to click on to reschedule. All right. So I'm going to click on to reschedule, and it will then bring up a date to reschedule. I'm going to reschedule it to tomorrow. And it says choose an open time slot to reschedule. Confirm the reschedule from the 8th to the 9th. And you'll notice it will bring both appointments that this particular client was booked in for. So again, I can reschedule back to today. Choose a date you wish to reschedule to. So I'm going to reschedule to the 8th. Choose an open time slot to reschedule. And then confirm the reschedule from here. So it's a great way to be accurate. We don't need to delete the client or anything like that. It remembers the client's name. It remembers the service. It's a great way to be fantastically accurate. So I'm now going to arrive the client, okay? And again, I can do this by right-clicking and go into arrived, or I can left-click, use the 3 dots in the bottom right-hand corner, and arrived. So I'm just going to work through either right-clicking or left-clicking and arriving my clients. Now you'll notice again, we've got a different color that has appeared. The blue color again is a visual indicator to let us know that this particular client has arrived. And we can always use our menu and color legend, not configuration legend. We can use our color legend under menu to let us know what these colors mean. So we've got a client arrived. The client has had a fantastic service. We are now ready to check the client out and take some money. So again, I can right click and go to checkout, or as we've seen, I can left click and use my touch tip menu. And this will take us to our point of sale screen. Our point of sale screen can always be found on the right hand side, but as you saw, this is a very quick way to navigate to it when checking a client out. So as we look at our point of sale screen, you'll notice we've got the client name at the top here. You can see the client profile, just in case they say to us, oh, I noticed, Chris, you didn't quite have my name spelled correctly, or do you have my number down correctly? We can adjust the client profile here. And of course, we've got that client history. Again, we can view previous history, just in case the client says, oh, did I pay X amount last time? Did I have a discount last time? Can you just check what products I purchased last time? Or of course, as we saw, you can add in those visit notes through the client history. To the right-hand side, hopefully everyone remembers, we've got this orange exclamation mark. Now, hopefully, before I say it, hopefully everyone's already thinking what this is. Now, of course, this orange exclamation mark is an alert. Now, you'll notice nothing is visible. So this only becomes visible when I click it. And you can see this client has an allergy to latex and very short hair. So it's only visible once we click onto it. As we look at our point of sale screen, you'll notice we've got the client's bill or the client's basket just here. We can see the service, the employee, the price, discount, and the VAT if applicable. But let's say we needed to change the employee who did the service. We can simply click the employee and change accordingly here. But what about if it wasn't a blow dry? This client had a cut and blow dry. We can click onto the service and we can choose the service icon here. And we can add a new or change a service if applicable. What about if the client has a discount? We have a discount column here and a discount icon here. So what is the difference? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another service in. So if I click any one of these empty grey sale lines just here, I'm going to add another service in. Now maybe this was a treatment. So I'm going to click service here and I'm going to add a treatment in. So there's two ways to add a discount. Let's say the discount came off the entire bill. Okay, so it came off the blow dry and the treatment. I can choose my discount icon just down here and choose the relevant discount reason that will be set up in your configuration. And then we click done. And you'll notice it has split the discount between both services. What about if we needed to clear the discount? So again, I can go back to discount in the bottom left and clear the discount here. But let's say the discount was only off of the blow dry. It wasn't off the conditioning treatment. So this time we choose the column. Okay, so I've got my discount column here. And I'm going to choose just a service in that column. So it's only going to come off the blow dry. And again, do exactly the same as before. And it will only take it off that particular service. So this is a great way, as you saw, if the discount is only off the blow dry, not the conditioning treatment. But what about if we needed to add in a new product? And again, we can scan the product at this stage. We could just simply scan it if we're using a barcode scanner. If not, we can manually search for the product if applicable. So we can click on any one of the empty grey sale lines, choose whoever sold the product, and choose the product icon to the left-hand side. We've got our company to the left, we've got a particular line to help us identify that product, and then we've got the specific products to the right-hand side. And you can choose multiple products if applicable. And you'll see I've added that product in. You'll also notice we have a quantity selector here as well. Down the bottom right-hand corner, we have our payment icons. We've got card, this can be both credit and debit card, and we've got cash. Other, that's things like account payments, and we also have gift certificates and loyalty. So I'm now going to check this client out, but they're going to split the payment between both cash and card. We would always recommend you take the card payment first in case the card declines. So I'm going to click onto card, and I'm going to type in how much money they wish to pay by card. So I'm going to pop in £20. I'm then going to click done, and it will tell me straight away there is an outstanding amount of £19.05. And they're going to pay the rest in cash. So I'm going to choose the cash icon in the bottom right. Now at this stage, we type in how much money the client gives us. So if the client doesn't give us £19.05, they maybe give us £20. It will work the change out for you. It will now ask us if this particular client wishes to rebook. And we can see there is a balance of 95p to give back to the client in the way of change. Now the all important here, ladies and gents, is to click the finish sale icon in the bottom right hand corner. So we can now see we have checked the client out successfully, and we can now see the appointment color has changed. What I'm going to look at now is I'm going to look at grouping two clients together at the point of sale screen. So perhaps this is a husband and wife, or father, son, mother, daughter, everything like that. And we want to group the two clients together. Firstly, please ensure that both clients have arrived. So you can see both of my clients here, Bugs and Chris, have both arrived. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the checkout option, either using my right click or left click. And again, this will take me to the point of sale screen. Now we're going to group these two clients together. It is always a good idea at this stage to work on each individual client independently. So apply the discount independently to each client, and also add in any extra products or services. Treat them individually first, okay? And you can do that by swapping between the top here. Just using your drop down arrow will show all of your clients that have arrived. So treat each individual client independently, and when you're ready to group the payments together, we hit the drop down arrow at the top, and you'll notice we have an option that says #group. This will show you your two clients that have arrived. Using the multi-select tabs to the left-hand side, these are the 6 grey dots here. By selecting those multi-select tabs, it will highlight both clients, and then we click Done. And it will group the bill together. And it is then just a case of choosing your payment icon, whichever one is relevant. And then the all-important bit, we click Finish Sale. Perfect, and that is how we can group 2 of our clients together to check them out. But what about adding a payment to the client account? This is often used as a way to sort of budget moving forward if they wish to pay for a service ahead of time, and this can often be used as a deposit. Okay, now this can only be done face-to-face or over the phone. Okay, we do obviously offer deposits in a way of our upfront payments, but we're going to take a look at account payments today. So again, on the right-hand side, we're going to click onto point of sale. Point of sale is anything to do with money exchanging hands. Okay, think of this as our point of sale system where we take money off of the client, anything to do with buying and selling. So when it comes to putting money on a client's account, once we've chosen a point of sale icon on the right-hand side navigation bar, in the top left, we have to choose new sale. Okay, we have to choose the client's name. I'm going to choose my client, and then I'm going to click Next in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to click on any one of my empty grey sale lines. And at this time, I'm going to choose Z Business because the money is going on account. It's going to our business. And then I'm going to choose the account icon. In the price column here, I'm going to input how much they wish to put on their account or how much the deposit is going to be. And I'm going to click Done. And I'm going to process the payment as we've just done for the last 2 transactions by choosing my payment options in the bottom right-hand corner. And again, the all-important bit, we're going to click Finish Sale. So we've now added money to a client's account. But how can we see this? So again, if we go to our client screen on the right-hand side, and if we search for my particular client, you'll notice as we go to make an appointment, we've got this here. It tells us that this client is £10 in credit. They have money on their account. So let's book this client in. Again, we can see on the client dashboard, they've got money on their account. And then we're going to click Next. We can work through the tags. And let's book ourselves a service in. So exactly the same as before, I'm going to arrive the client either by right-clicking or left-clicking to open up my appointment options. And I'm now going to check the client out. You'll notice straight at the center top of the screen, we have a green icon that tells us this client has £10 on their account. So we're going to redeem that £10 first. To the bottom right-hand corner, again, you'll notice we have our payment icons, our card and our cash. You'll also notice we have an other payment icon. So we're going to not choose card or cash first and foremost. We want to redeem the money from our account. So I'm going to click onto Other. And I'm going to choose Account. I can see I have £10 in my account, which is redeemable. I'm going to type that in. It will now tell me I have £16 left to pay. And I'm going to simply take the payment as normal. Again, we can rebook. And the all-important bit, we're going to click Finish Sale. And that is how we can add money to a client's account in the way of a deposit, and then we can redeem it as well. A fantastic way moving forward to ensure that the client has maybe budgeted for their services, or as we said, we maybe wish to take a deposit moving forward further down the line to secure that particular appointment. And that is it, ladies and gents. We landed on exactly 1 hour there for 11 o'clock. Now, hopefully everybody's learned something. Oh, thank you very much. Hopefully everybody's learned something. I know it was quite a lot to go through. We did strip it right back to the basics, and we did also throw a few extra things in there. But hopefully that has now given everybody the tools moving forward to feel confident making appointments and working their way around the appointment diary a little bit more. Please do stay tuned for our further masterclasses where we go into loads more detail of what the software can do. But if you have any questions, please feel free to pop those across to me now. Lovely, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Perfect. So I think that's it for all of the questions this morning, ladies and gents. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Hopefully everyone will be able to join me throughout the remainder of the month. And I'll hopefully speak to you all again soon. All that's left for me to say is thank you ever so much. Take care and bye-bye for now.